They say time heals everything. But what if it doesn't? What if it just waits? They say time washes away all wounds, all pain, all regret. But no one ever talks about the memories it leaves behind, etched into the quiet corners of our lives, in the dust motes, dancing in a sunbeam, in the scent of an old room, and the soft, steady ticking of a clock. Sometimes, silence remembers what our hearts try so hard to forget. It holds on to the whispers, the echoes, the promises, and in that silence, stories wait patiently for the moment they can be heard again. Because healing isn't about forgetting, it's about learning to listen to the quiet. He was just cleaning out the ghosts of yesterday, or so he thought. The attic, a place where the past was stored away in dusty boxes and shrouded furniture, each item a relic, a forgotten chapter. He hadn't been up here in years. It was just a task, a chore to get through. But then he saw it, tucked away in the shadows, a small wooden box, unadorned and humble. It wasn't locked. Inside, nestled in yellowed fabric, was a single envelope, brittle with age. It had her name, written in a handwriting he hadn't seen in 20 years. A jolt, like a forgotten melody suddenly playing. Maybe time doesn't forget after all. Maybe it just waits. It waits for the perfect moment to whisper. His hands trembled, not from the chill of the attic, but from the weight of the years held within that single, sealed envelope. The paper was so fragile, so delicate. It felt like holding a butterfly's wing. A lifetime of unanswered questions was contained in that fold. With a deep breath that caught in his throat, he carefully broke the seal. The scent of old paper and faint perfume rose to meet him, a ghost from another time. His eyes scanned the faded ink, her voice, a soft echo in his mind. He began to read. You'll find this. It means I couldn't say goodbye. It means my last promise to you was broken. But please know, wherever you are, whatever you've become, I never stopped waiting. Not for a single moment. She believed in forever. She saw it in the steam rising from their coffee cups in that little cafe. She felt it in the rain as they ran, laughing to the shelter of the old clock tower. He promised it to her as the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, their hands clasped tight. Forever, he whispered. It was the easiest word he had ever said. But forever was just a word, a beautiful, fragile word. And time. Time decides how long forever lasts. It was a cruel lesson. One moment, they were everything to each other. Their world was complete, a perfect circle of shared smiles and secret glances. The next, just a memory, an echo in an empty room. He thought if he just waited long enough, the sharp edges of her memory would soften. He thought time would be a kind friend, helping him to forget the curve of her smile, the sound of her laugh. But he was wrong. Memories don't fade. They don't disappear. They reverberate through the empty spaces of your life, growing louder in the quiet moments. And so, he had created a ritual of regret. Every year, on this same day, the anniversary of their last goodbye, he still found himself waiting for a letter that he knew would never come. Until today. The letter he held in his hand wasn't just paper and ink. It was 20 years of silence, finally speaking. The words on the page blurred through his tears. He had spent 2 decades believing she had left him, that their forever wasn't strong enough. But the truth was far more cruel, far more simple. She hadn't left him by choice. The letter spoke of a hurried return, a desperate race against the clock to get back to him, to keep her promise. And then, a single sentence that shattered his world all over again. An accident. a sudden, senseless twist of fate that stole her from the world before she could make it back to the clock tower. It wasn't distance that kept them apart. It was fate. And fate is just another name for time. Time, in its infinite, unknowable wisdom, made a different choice for him. He closed his eyes and whispered her name into the stillness of the room. It felt like a prayer. The weight of 20 years of anger, of misunderstanding, begun to lift. It was replaced by profound, aching sadness, but it was a clean sadness, a grief that could finally begin to heal. He walked to the old clock tower, a place where their story had both begun and ended. The air was cool, the sky overcast, just as it was that day. He sat on the bench where they last sat, the letter held gently in his hand. He didn't need to read it again. Every word was now carved onto his heart. He couldn't change the past. He couldn't turn back the hands of the clock tower that loomed above him. But he could finally let it rest. He tucked the letter under the bench, a final offering, a release. As he stood up, a sliver of sunlight broke through the heavy clouds, illuminating the space where he had left her words. Because love, like time, never truly ends. It just finds a different way to whisper. Some stories aren't meant to be forgotten. They are woven into the fabric of time itself. They just wait for someone to listen. If this story whispered to you, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for listening.